Do you know what we need to do? We need to do potential thumbnails with reactions. Yeah.
Staged.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Part-Time Podcast. My name is Alfred. I'm just going to do a quick room check to see who we've got in the building. Tonight, we've got Derby.
Free Mesut Ozil. I love you.
We've got Dan. We got Ollie.
Hello.
We got Tony.
Still here.
We got Ron.
You know what I said?
And we got a debut with Alvin Zondo tonight. So debut,
aka the villain,
the most controversial man, the most controversial man in football podcasting. What was that?
This is a huge signing, huge January window signing. We're really proud. We can't wait.
We ain't seen a signing like this since Henrik Larsson joined United all those years ago.
Was that a successful tenure?
Oh yeah, he got a medal. That's all I want.
Not quite Larsson at Barcelona, but we'll do. You're more like Michael Owen to Man United.
Hey, he got a medal as well. That's all I care about.
So
we're
gonna
keep my cabinet looking like at the end of the season, man. That's it.
more trophies than Liverpool at the time. So we're just gonna kick off the segment with what Social's saying. Derby, I think you got a great topic to kick us off with.
My topic is based around the most overhyped game that happened over the weekend. Top of the table clash between United and Liverpool. Again, Social is popping because that's the only thing that's entertaining about the game. And one person in particular's name kept coming up. Bruno Fernandes, a class player, of course, but missing again in the big game.
What's your question, Darby? What's your question?
It's not a question. That's what the public is saying. Bruno Fernandes got missing in the big games again. Is he a big game player?
Yes, but let me explain. It's not an easy answer because I would say the team. I don't think we've won a big game this season.
Haven't no.
Right?
No, you didn't.
We ain't won a big game this season, right? Which, one highlights he does need to turn up more. But last season, he was great in big games. So I don't think it's a Bruno problem. I think if you look at Anfield yesterday, it wasn't a game set up for a number 10. Not for us anyway. We were hitting them on a counter-attack. It was literally try and get the ball and try and get it through to Rashford as quickly as possible. Now, this is where the team looks inexperienced because an experienced team takes their time with it. We were playing like it was the 8th, 9th minute from the first minute. Do you see the ball possession? Do you see how many times they lost the ball? And that's not just Bruno, that was everyone. So
I would say Bruno's become like the scapegoat for Man United now.
Do you think he's a scapegoat?
No way.
No, I don't think he's the scapegoat.
No way.
But I think like
he's not the scapegoat.
I think he's the best player, so he's under the spotlight, isn't it? Which comes with the territory.
Yeah, he's the talisman, isn't he? He's the talisman. It goes to him when it's good, and he's the guy that's under the spotlight when it's not good.
That's just standard.
It is.
When he's bigged up as much as he is, though, he's got to perform in them games. Like United fans have not stopped going on about Bruno. So when it comes to them games, what's the hype about?
That's my point.
What's the hype about
I've been seeing the tweets about obviously he won 4 Player of the Month, same as Henry, some of all these big players. If you're gonna put him with those guys, then you have to obviously highlight his performances. He has 1 goal versus the Big Six, which is a penalty, and the Big Six doesn't include Arsenal and Chelsea, even though we're not part of the Big Six anymore.
But do you see what you did there, which is what I think a lot of people. He's a midfielder. Why are we trying to look at his goal contributions?
That's what you guys talk about.
Yeah, because they're insane.
I'm not talking about that. What I'm saying
not you.
For me, I look more at his overall play. And it is hit and miss. I'm not going to lie to you. It is hit and miss. But that's how he plays. He plays on the edge. He's not here to be pretty. He's here to try and hurt. It will either work or it won't work.
A lot of times it doesn't work.
Yes, that's how he plays, though.
Yeah,
I
agree.
That's why he's got so many goals, even when he plays shit, because his game is just to try and hurt. Is he as pretty as a David Silva? Is he going to Thiago yesterday? You look at the difference of how they play. I think if you're looking for him to be like Thiago, he's just never going to be that. That's just not what he is as a player.
Different positions anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
Just going to jump in here because I think the reason why people are on Bruno Fernandes is back is because there was a fan, a full-time pundit actually, that jumped on Sky Sports and actually compared him to Eric Cantona, which was just a stretch first and foremost. And on top of that, everybody talks about the fact that when Bruno doesn't score, there's not a peep about what he actually did to that game. Would you agree that that's the case? He's one of those players that he has to score for people to talk about him? Or do you think that he's actually a player that unlocks the majority of the team? Is that his game?
The Cantona comparison wasn't them as players. They were talking about the impact. No one can deny of any team signing in the last 12 months, he's had the biggest impact, right? Mm-hmm. So that's where they're talking about the Cantona-esque. And I don't think they're saying he's had that. I'm saying he possibly, if this team wins the league, this team's, in my opinion, shit. If this team wins the league, then he rightfully will go into that bracket of impact. No one's saying the same player, but impact. If this team wins the league...
Carrying the team, yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Do you think this team can win the league?
I don't think they will, but I think anyone can win the league this season. Well, apart from Arsenal, but... sorry. Let's slip that in. But do you know what I mean? Like, even like Spurs, Spurs are having a tough time now, but if Spurs put 5 wins in a row together, suddenly you're straight back in there. So do I think they will?
I think that's the thing with the league. Like we said it the other week, a month ago, Liverpool beat Palace 7-0, and like they're going to run away. But again, and then a month on, massive dip in form, and now they're down to what, 4th? I think that's the thing, that we're not even halfway through the season yet. There's so many changes. Like United, fair play to them. Yeah, they're at the top of the table. Do I think they're going to go on and win the league? I don't, but I think if they win yesterday, if they beat Liverpool yesterday, they come to Anfield, they beat Liverpool, that's a massive statement. That's going to get people saying, actually, they might be able to do it. I think people are forgetting, and City have got 2 games in hand, and
I think it's 1 left.
Is it 1 left?
Yeah, it's 1 now.
Well,
if they win that, they go top. And those are top.
I think if they get their if they go top of the table, they've got the quality just to sit there and stay there for the rest of the season. So I think right now it's City's to lose. I think United are probably overachieving where they thought they were going to be. I mean, Gary Neville said it as well. Like, no one expected United to be there. I think the thing with Fernandes as well, he's the player that he's come in and just overachieved on all expectation. No one expected him to do what he's done for United. So in that side, he's always created a problem for himself and the pressure for himself in these big games. Because he didn't perform yesterday, but who really did? Like, what play on the pitch?
Exactly.
To be fair, whilst we're starting to talk about players that didn't perform or did perform, what's everybody's thoughts on Mane's current form?
I think it's later on in the segment.
Someone speak on it.
I think that front 3 need to reinvent themselves.
Reinvent.
Oh, Greeny sipping.
Ooh, some strong words there.
I think
the front 3, right? There's always been this thing where one of them, if one of them has a bad game, they are almost like bailed out because the other 2 are gonna probably on form and gonna hit.
He took my Firmino then. He took my Firmino in particular because he's the one that I think people should highlight, and he's got away with it for the last 3 years now. But people talking about 3 years now. 3 years. We had 1 brilliant season. The other 2. This season,
I think you can see clearly that they're struggling with something, whether it's connecting or not. Well, not even that, because Liverpool haven't scored a goal in 3 games.
Yeah.
When was the last time Liverpool, that front 3, went 3 games without scoring? And I think noticed in the game yesterday, there was a period where Salah, I can't remember what minute it was, like he and Trent, they worked so well together. And Salah was literally telling Trent, like, I need you to overlap. Trent didn't even make the run. And you see, and that makes a difference, a massive difference. Like Luke Shaw, you think that was a game that Salah will be licking his lips like Ronaldinho, that he's going to absolutely destroy. And somehow Luke Shaw has found a way to play against Salah. That is wild.
Salah was looking like Delafay yesterday.
You've got Trent almost like giving the ball away 38 times a couple of games before. And now you've got Mane. The only reason why I put Mane on the spotlights so early on in this conversation is because when you look at a player like Aubameyang going all these games without scoring, everybody's talking about it. They're on his case. But Mane, who equally, people could say he's the best left forward in the league, right? And no one's saying anything from that perspective. Why do you think that's the case?
It's 3 games.
Yeah.
Aubameyang has scored 2 goals this season.
Yeah, it's not quite.
But how many league goals does Mane have this season in the league?
I think
He
got
scored
6
about 5 or 6, yeah.
Does he?
Yeah.
Does he, though?
Oh, yeah.
Does he?
He scored 2
Yeah.
against
Are you
Chelsea.
sure?
Oh, no, he scored 1 against Chelsea.
I think he's got 6.
Yeah,
I saw it's less than that. I saw it's like 4 or 3. I saw Aubameyang has scored more this season.
Don't come on, bro. Aubameyang has scored 2.
Behave yourself, mate.
Check it.
Aubameyang has scored 2 penalties.
Check it. Find the receipts.
I think with Mane, like he's been performing so well for since he's been at Liverpool, he's been unreal. So like, there's always going to be a dip in form, and because it's the front 3 all in one go, it's obviously highlighted and exaggerated.
Yeah, Mane scored 6.
But I just don't think it's that deep with Mane. Like once he gets going again, he'll he could have like next game or the game after. It's cool. He'll click. Like every player, I think, like can have a bit of a down moment. Like you said with Trent, I think the Trent thing's an interesting one because this
38.
Well, yeah, but that's the thing. But this is the thing with. I generally think there's a difference. Well, there is a massive difference between Liverpool last year and even the season before that, when they were, the massive thing was just winning the Premier League. They had this, like, they were going for it. They had this hunger. And last season, they were one of the best Premier League teams of recent era. Like, they were just unstoppable. This season, and yes, they're,
Alvin doesn't agree with that.
I said that to you guys when we were recording a few weeks ago. I was like, not many teams have actually retained the Premier League. Certain teams have done it. United have, City have, Chelsea have, but it's not an easy task to do. So when we were predicting who's going to win the league, I did say Liverpool are going to struggle because and first we've seen the injuries. Fair play to Fabinho, which I have to say was brilliant yesterday. Should have been, I think he was the man of the match, but for him and Henderson, who never even played as a centre back before, to step into that position, that's good. But you can see that Liverpool they're not clicking in the same way as they did last year. Do
you know what it is though? When I look at Liverpool, it's not even their forwards for me. Their creativity comes from the fullbacks. So Trent's having a shocker this season, right? Robertson, to be fair, is playing quite well, but you're not getting the same. The midfield aren't in there to create. I've been saying this.
They've never been.
3 years, right? But Liverpool are a robot. They are a robot. You can take these guys that you rate like Gini Wijnaldum and Henderson and stick someone else in there and they'll do the same job. It's the fullbacks that have the creativity.
With that being said, because this was a bit of a controversial conversation me and Derby had about the fact that Liverpool obviously plays best as that machine. So was Thiago the right signing?
Yeah,
I think they had the right intention, which was to add a little bit of craft to that, like mechanical, like runners basically. And to be fair, watching him play yesterday, he played well.
Thiago's a very he was at Munich, unreal player, very good player. I think the thing with Thiago, if you look at that kind of what Liverpool have been in the last couple of years, then potentially not. But what he adds is, I think the whole thing with him is it's almost like future proofing, because one of those front 3 probably at the end of the season is going to go, whether it's Salah, or even next season. It's not going to be around forever. With Thiago, I think it's just a kind of future proofing, maybe a change in style. But I just think that's one game as well. Like people are talking about Thiago from yesterday. Like again, he was probably one of the best. Well, he was one of the best players on the pitch. Before that, everyone's going on about how good he is. Like
to be fair,
I don't think it's a Thiago problem. I really don't think so, because he doesn't actually play as I think where Liverpool probably need more help is a number 10 or a more creative number 8. But Thiago doesn't actually play as an 8. He plays as a 6.
Yeah.
So you think of Wijnaldum, for instance, maybe he's someone that could be more creative. Keita has not really done that for you guys. Wijnaldum's not doing that. So you beg the question, maybe Firmino, who loves to drop deep, maybe he's probably your better option in midfield.
The thing is,
because it's not Thiago. I don't think Thiago is the issue.
It's not Thiago. Like Thiago only benefits that team. Like there's no like he's a solid addition. I think the thing is, and Wijnaldum looks like he's leaving at the end of the season. Like I'm not convinced on him to be completely honest. Like I think there is that massive like lack of just that like the last pass. There was so many times yesterday. So many times we were on the edge of the box, we were going forward, looking really good, and there'd be another 5 passes for the sake of passing, and it's just that kind of like incisive pass from that creative midfielder that we just
right. But I hope I don't hurt your feelings here because I'm not trying to. But
here we go.
Respectfully, yeah. Have Liverpool ever been a good footballing team, or do they just run you into the ground?
That's
I
like
agree with that.
No, but you're saying like you didn't have the last pass. I don't think you've ever had that.
No, I disagree because you can see certain managers. I'm not even a Liverpool fan, but you look at when Rodgers came to Liverpool, you could see he had a style to play. When he had Suarez, Sterling, and Sturridge, they definitely had a pattern of play. I don't think it's all about. Oh, okay. I thought you said have they ever.
No. I'm saying is this team a footballing side? Who are the best footballers apart from Thiago? Who are the best footballers?
Am I the only one that thinks that's just a mental question?
I think that's a bit wild. That's a very wild statement.
To be fair, I can't agree with Alvin. I can't agree with Alvin. It's literally just been a wing play cross, flipping in pace. That's all it's been.
Come on.
It's never been amazing football like you watch it. It's even
They've
like
played teams out of the park.
Yeah, man. They're in the Premier League playing cricket.
They
Like, what are we talking about here?
I can't believe we're having this conversation.
1 second,
I'm not
guys.
even a Liverpool fan.
1 second, guys.
When you made a mistake, they punish you badly.
Yeah,
It never once like
Tony.
passive possession. You watch them play.
You know the good football. Mane is. Firmino actually is a decent footballer. He doesn't score goals.
You're saying one decent footballer. Mane.
Bro, I'm starting. Mane, Thiago. Who's a footballer?
Van Dijk is without doubt top 3 defenders in the world, without a doubt. Alisson's the best keeper in the league, without a doubt.
Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying you don't have good players. You have great players. I'm just talking about footballers, like ball players.
Bro, that's literally the same question. Who's a good footballer?
No, to be fair, I think that's 2 different questions because
it is, isn't it? It's 2 different questions.
it's 2 different questions.
I'm saying who are their footballers?
This is what we say all the time though with individual players. Like if you take, Mane or whatever, Salah, Firmino, that front 3, as a unit, as a team, that's what works for them. And you don't win the league so convincingly last year without being a good footballing team, surely.
I think you can do it. I think that's the era of football.
They did it. Bearing in mind they finished on 99 points, which is more points than Man United ever finished.
I think that's the era of football that we're in.
Did you say it's more points than anybody has ever finished? I'm
apart from City, yeah.
Man United.
It's an era of football that is less football based. We had tiki-taka, which was total football. If you look at that Barcelona team and you look at that Liverpool team, what similarities do you see?
Yeah, but that's like saying what similarities are between like Man City and Tottenham.
If you're not playing tiki-taka, doesn't mean you're not playing football. Liverpool have played teams out of the park.
They get it wide and they cross it and then they run you down. They press you into a mistake.
You need to put more respect. Come on,
They
man.
press you into a mistake.
Come on, man.
To be fair, Tony, when you start to look at the stats of their midfield, because they did win with 99 points, but when you start to look at the stats of their midfield, I'm sure there's some low assist numbers in there.
Very low, but that's not their job. But that tells you a pattern of play. It doesn't mean every team has to play through the midfield. There was a time Man U, their gameplay.
By the way, I think they're exceptionally coached. So don't miss what I'm saying. I'm not saying that they're not well coached. Klopp, I think, is the best coach in the world.
And that's not a pattern of play.
No.
I'm well coached doesn't mean you don't have a pattern of play.
I'm not saying they don't have. I think they have a clear pattern of play.
Okay.
What I'm saying is, it's not a footballing. There's not many great footballers there. They have a lot of physicality. They've got a lot of stamina. They run you down. They run you.
It's not a skill school. It's not like it's just like
elements. It's not. There's no craft in that team. Even James Carragher says that all the time when he plays like Thiago. It's great because he might add to the craft.
Yeah, but I don't get they're probably not going to win on FIFA Street, but like...
It's not FIFA Street. I'm just saying, you were talking about they struggle to pass through What I'm saying is, have they ever done that? That's not their game.
When they had a player like Coutinho, they had that creative, incisive pass through the middle, and he was that player. So it's just that role. Like, I just think, I don't know, it's just a very different style to what is in the league with any other team, I think.
Do you reckon? I think you've seen so many teams adopt this high press. Southampton do it. Brighton do it.
Liverpool won the first to really kind of like, the Trent and Robertson being so like influential in games. They were the first team where those players were dominating as much as they have. And then now, this is the thing now, teams know how to defend against. They go to Southampton. Southampton are so compact and narrow in the middle of the park that they struggle to break it down. And that's always been a thing.
Well, Southampton basically say, come play through us.
Yeah, exactly.
Come show your footballers to play through us.
So with that being said,
if you're setting up a team against Liverpool, is that not what you're saying?
Well, that's how Villa put 7 past them. Like, any excuse to mention it, obviously. That's it. We figured out the high press and we could pass it through. John McGinn had a field day. That was essentially the play. But like, I don't get this distinction between players who are good at football and footballers. Like,
there's a big
this is so similar to the argument that Leeds are this fantastic brand of football and deserve to be praised just because they're playing out of mind or like
that's a whole other
It doesn't make sense. If they're winning, which is the aim of the game of football, and they're footballers, I don't understand the distinction.
Yeah. I'll tell you the distinction. I think we're in an era where it is very much system based, right? As you've seen with this Liverpool, they're like a broken system at the minute. The system's not quite working. Would I put Jordan Henderson as one of the best footballers in the world? Personally, no.
I don't.
But is he one of the best midfield players in terms of effectiveness right now? You probably would say yes. There's a clear distinction.
I get what you're saying. I get the.
But
it doesn't mean that they're not good footballers.
No, I tell you what I think. I think if you took them out of that system, I just don't think that you'd see the same player. If you brought Jordan Henderson to Man City, they'd put him in the under 23s. Sorry.
Can they do it on a cold night in Stoke? Is that what you're saying?
That might be a bit too far, but you get what I'm saying.
I know what's going to be clipped
if you
up.
Put him as a single person in there, it wouldn't make sense. They'd have to rebuild the whole system around. Do you know what I mean? Because he's just not a footballer. You can't just drop in any team and go ball out.
You can say that about a lot of players, though.
Yeah,
you can say that about so many players, bro.
He's still a great footballer.
Okay, guys, we can go back and forth on this, but I'm going to move us on to the next
I told you, I came to hurt feelings today.
We're good to go. So, Ron, I believe you got something for us. You're next up on what Social's saying.
Oh, it's me.
Yeah.
So, mine ain't gonna take long. It's saying I want to like debate or anything. It's just to make the crowd like laugh. You know what I mean? But there was a tweet where there's this 3 pictures basically, and one of them's from Tinder. So one of them looks like Salah, one of them looks like Mane, and there's a girl on there that's called Laura that looks like Bobby Firmino. So I'm gonna put the pictures up now. But as you can imagine, like, that has like made my weekend. Like, I said that to my brother because he's a Liverpool fan. And he did nothing, absolutely nothing. So, what's your take on that photo?
Which way are you swiping?
Is that pretty much Liverpool's front 3 right now?
You know what? Like I said earlier, Liverpool's front 3, they need to reinvent themselves. Like, I thought yesterday's game against United, I felt like whenever they were in the final third, they would just like fumble the bag. Like, there was just not. It's not the Liverpool side you saw last season where they would literally just convert at all. But I don't know. That's just my take on it.
Do we think that it's because Liverpool strike force are performing badly, or is it because people have found them out? What's the main contributor to this?
Or do you think it's because they found the meme, so people are just happy to post them?
I think it's a bit of both. It's a bit of both because, like yesterday, I think there was probably about 2 chances in the first half where Firmino received the ball just outside the box, and you can see Robertson darting, making a run, and in my head I'm like, yo, just pass the ball and get a quick cut back, and he didn't. He ended up popping a shot that It was like man was wearing Timberland boots on. And you just think to yourself, so that's not a case of being found out. It was just a case of Firmino trying to score. And that was something, you saw that happen. I saw that with Trent a few times with Salah. And I don't know, there were even a few, there was a period for about 5-10 minutes where Robertson and Trent actually swapped positions. And Trent was on the left and Robertson was playing as a right back. I don't know if anyone, this was about the 70th minute. And I think it's just a case of the teams not clicking somehow. And that's when you get found out, where the midfield, where they don't get any goals from anyway, or assist. When you're not playing, when your front three are not doing their jobs, then obviously it's going to be a bit more glaring that there's a problem.
I think it boils down to, again, like, it's such like a month ago, like we said, we beat Palace 7-0 and everyone was thinking, oh, they're back and they're going to dismantle teams.
Yeah.
It's a dip. Like, they should have won the games in the last month that they've drawn and lost. So yeah, missed opportunities there. But again, people underestimate how much of an impact Van Dijk is, having Van Dijk out, and obviously Gomez and Matip made a crisps. Like
Jota for Firmino.
Yeah, exactly. Jota as well. Like, having Henderson and Fabinho play centre back is mad. Like, yes, they did a job there. Like, they did really well yesterday. But not having them in midfield is costly. Like that, you'd have Henderson in the middle and Fabinho in the middle. Like,
yeah,
we're so reliant on the goals coming from the top three. But when you also take out those midfielders,
top two.
So just a quick last question: what would you say your best midfield three would be, if you want to get a decent attacking output as well as a solid working engine? What would you say your best three would be? Saying all your players are fit, even Chamberlain as well.
Even Chamberlain.
Personally, to that question, sorry, Dan, I think that actually the problem with Liverpool is Firmino as well, because I think if Jota's playing, he'll be scoring goals to get you out of that. If you look at Firmino's, I know that everybody goes all high and mighty about the fact that he makes the rest of the team play, and they say that he's so selfless. When you look at last year's stats, he had 99 shots and 9 goals. That's pretty much a goal every 11 shots. So that's terrible.
When they're playing like this, everyone goes on about it, but
no, people have been on Firmino's case for years.
But this is one. But everyone says, like, downgrades the role he plays to the rest of the team. If Liverpool didn't have Firmino last season, would they win the league as convincingly as they did? No,
I think so.
I think they would.
Well,
if they had Jota instead,
the question shouldn't be if they didn't have Firmino, is if you could replace him with another player. Obviously, if you play with 10 men, but say you put Harry Kane in there. If you put Harry Kane in there, you're an infinitely better team.
Yeah, go
he does the quarterback position, quarterback Kane, and he still gets you goals as well.
Yeah. He's got 9 goals and 8 assists last year. So what is he doing?
Kane's on like 9 assists already, if not more.
I know. Firmino, who's apparently this most effective player in the front three,
he's always
has 9 goals. And
well,
8
I'm going to
assists.
ask a question that it's not from me. Just remember, it's from another part-time pundit. So I don't want the heat because it's not my question. But Alfred, you were there. Chris asked if you swapped Firmino for Lacazette, would they still win the league?
I think so.
Probably.
Saying that Firmino only scored 1 goal away, you know.
Right, he's on blast.
My issue is the fact that he takes shots.
Yeah, it's not like he's not shooting.
Yeah, he's trying to score. It's not like he's holding up. He's generally trying. He had like the 3rd highest shots in the Prem, and he's not scoring. But everyone's like, "Now work rate." Because Salah and Mane were bailing him out. Now when he needs the goals, he's still taking shots and he's missing.
In all fairness, let me actually be real for a second. I actually don't think there's a massive issue with Liverpool. I think they're in a bad run of form. I still think it's going to be them and City at the end of the season. The biggest issue they're having this season is the squad's being stretched. They've been really lucky the last couple of years that they haven't had injuries. And this is the first season.
They have last season, they were full of injuries.
Who was injured?
Mane was out for a bit. Alisson was out for. They had Adrian in goal for 8 games.
Adrian's a Premier League starter.
For a bit. Man City had De Bruyne out for the whole season. Aguero was barely fit.
Yeah, but you're saying that they didn't have any injuries. Gomez was out. Mane was
substantial injuries. I don't think your squad's been stretched.
No, they haven't had substantial injuries. Like, they've definitely got lucky with that. But last season they did have injury. Like, it wasn't like everyone was fit for the whole season. There were periods where some key players weren't on the pitch. So it's one of them. Like the thing with Liverpool this season, what I think it boils down to is what Tony said about retaining the league is difficult. There's not the same hunger that they were playing with. So straight away, there's that kind of, it's not the same energy. It's not the same intensity. That's massive.
No fans.
And again, the fans is a huge one, I think. Like, look at teams like Sheffield United. Would Sheffield United be as bad as they are and have 5 points or whatever it is if there was fans in the stadium? I would say they would have more points.
No, because they have McGoldrick up top.
But even Liverpool ran away with the league last year playing with fans in stadiums, because I think of Liverpool's form coming off, the restart project restarts. It wasn't that great.
They were terrible.
Yeah, because they'd won the league, though.
Liverpool would, and that's the thing.
I mean, they hadn't yet, but yeah, they won eventually. After Chelsea beat Man City, but yeah.
Liverpool,
But Alvin, you know that United ain't dropping the ball after you've won the Premier League. You're going to annihilate teams. That ain't happening.
No, I don't think that's a fair one. I think that once they've won the league already, it drops. But
Liverpool as well won the league so early. Like, there was still so many games to play. So they since going back after the restart, they only had to play 2 games. One was Everton, which they drew, and then Palace at home. Then the league was done. Since that point, have Liverpool played well for more than 3 games in a row? No, they haven't. They've played well in patches and beaten Leicester and all them teams. But since they've won the league, they haven't been the same team.
But you talk about the fans, though. Isn't their home record better than their away record this season? I swear you ain't lost at home.
Their record, they're unbeaten for 3.5 years. That's
you can't really point to the no fans because.
Yeah, but they're not necessarily losing, but are they playing the same kind of? They're drawing at home. They've drawn with West Brom. They drew yesterday again with
City did as well.
Huh?
City did as well. So is that Liverpool or is that West Brom?
Everyone. Is everyone affected
Chelsea
by
drew
it?
to West Brom.
Everyone is affected by it. I think
Arsenal lost to Burnley at home. Do you know what I mean?
That's about their level, though, isn't it?
I can't wait for Villa to get relegated. So on to the next topic, as Ollie Smith took that little dive our way. Ollie Smith, you've got the final social update.
Yeah, it's a big one this week, obviously, with the news that Mesut Ozil is finally leaving Arsenal and joining Fenerbahce. It got a lot of people thinking, really, an undeniably gifted player, but quite a divisive character, I guess. And it got me thinking, on balance, and this is really for the Sambas and the Arsenal fans, on balance, was Ozil's time at Arsenal a success? Is that how you remember it?
Well, me and Derby have completely different views on this. I think it was a failure personally. The reason why I think that is, I do think that he brought us the lift that we needed. I think that we had that big player feeling, that Dennis Bergkamp feeling, when you got something a little bit different to lift you and make you remember what kind of club you are. Because we went through the years before that, some treacherous players, right? Denilson in the midfield. Come on, right? We had people mate. We still fell into the chat. We still ended up in the Champions League somehow. We got a terrible shambolic squad during that period. And then Mesut Ozil coming to our team was something that we didn't think that we'd get. And that gave us a lift and got us our first FA Cup, even though I still believe that it was because of Ramsey's stepping up, not necessarily Ozil. But when he first came, in the first couple of months, he did a phenomenal job. But then after that, he just went missing, because if you look at that season as well, I'm sure we lost by more than 5 goals to both Liverpool and Chelsea as well, all leaking from the midfield. So we started to see very early on that sometimes it can feel like you're playing with a world star, like a world-class player, but in other times it feels like you're playing with 10 men, and that's usually defensively and in the big games as well. And he's picked and choose these games. Whenever you look at the big highlights, apart from one game with Chelsea, I think a couple of seasons after that with Sanchez, he performed terribly in the big games. So if you're a world-class player, you're expected to perform in world-class games, and effectively he didn't. And I think that he failed to, if you're leaving Arsenal without winning a Premier League, especially when your biggest chance to win against Leicester, you didn't take advantage, then I just got to say that it was a bit of a howler for me.
Are you talking here about Ozil or Bruno Fernandes when you say that?
Sounds the same, doesn't it?
It'd be good to hear Derby's perspective on this too.
Now the thing is, like I'm not gonna say it obviously like it was amazing because again, like what Alfred said, a player like Mesut Ozil, you'd expect him to hopefully like leave Arsenal like in Premier League or something like that. But the main thing is, I just kind of feel like he is a bit disrespected by some Arsenal fans, and they kind of like that lift that he gave us was such a big lift. As like he came in, won an FA Cup, got people like Sanchez, he unlocked Ramsey. So like not just him, but he was that missing piece. And again, yes, he did go missing in like the big games, but you still can't having to play. He always gave us a chance, even though yes, maybe he didn't always deliver, but he always gave us a chance. He was that spark. He was that marquee player that we needed again. Yeah, that's the main. I just feel like he's been disrespected by quite a few Arsenal fans. And
do you know one thing that I always find weird about that though is a lot of people say that about him, like he doesn't track back, he doesn't do that, he doesn't do that. Was he doing that at Madrid? Has he ever done that? So like when you signed him, you knew what you're getting. So I think it's unfair because you say this about Fabregas at Chelsea, like, oh, he's poor defensively. Like, well, when's he ever been not poor defensively? Do you know what I mean? It's like, can you really throw that at him when you knew that when you signed him?
Because people say that thing about I will let Leicester win the league. When obviously in the first half of the season he had 18 assists, and then Giroud doesn't score in like 12 games.
Hey, you'd take Giroud back now, wouldn't you? Don't slander the big man. You take that.
No. The thing is, Giroud's one of those players where you look at his stats, he's amazing. But when you're watching him play week after week for 90 minutes, he's so frustrated. He misses fucking all the time, and then he scores the one. He's a headline player where who could get the goal to win your game. But when you watch him for 90 minutes, it's so frustrating. But I'll save that for another day. I love Giroud.
I think back to Ozil. The thing about the whole, and like he's a player who has divided a lot of Arsenal fans. You know, you see so many views. Some are for Ozil, some are like against him. The thing was, okay, cool. Did Arsenal actually get the Ozil from Real Madrid, the player you thought you were getting? You know, I can't really think of a lot of big games that, especially big games away, that Ozil actually performed. I can't think of any. So, I mean, if you know any, please remind me. But the thing with Ozil, where do you guys actually put him in your place? Because I've seen some Arsenal fans disrespecting him in the sense of, or disrespecting Cesc. People are ranking him better than what Cesc did for you guys. And I'm just like, that's insane.
Yeah, that's mad.
Do you think that Ozil did more for Arsenal than Cesc did?
Absolutely not. Oh, no, sorry. I meant people are disrespecting Fabregas.
Oh,
and people are saying Ozil is as good, or in terms of Arsenal legends, would even put him in a bracket of legends. Because
we don't even put Fabregas in our bracket of legends. So when we have the discussion, if we have the real discussion about what a legend is, Fabregas is not even in the Arsenal's list of legends.
I guarantee a few Arsenal fans will put
he's a cultural hero. He was with us in a good time.
Chelsea.
Captain.
No. Obviously, he was a fan favorite, and there's a difference between a fan favorite and a legend, right?
Of course.
Like, if you're a legend, it means that you've left something that people in the future will look back at and remember you by, like, and highlights don't cut it, right? So by saying that era between the unbeaten run and the FA Cup after that, and the FA Cup we won, Ramsey goes down as more of a legend because he won trophies for Arsenal.
Oh, Fabregas.
Really? You're going to put Ramsey as a legend of a Fabregas?
I'm just saying that
I was never the biggest Ramsey fan, but I feel like
Fabregas didn't go to Chelsea, do you think you guys would have looked at him in a more...
I'm going to insist that we stay on track here because that is a heck of a tangent. I'm not getting involved in that.
Also, the way that Cesc left and him going to Chelsea massively hindered him being an Arsenal legend.
This is
massively.
Again, we spoke about it the other week. The word legend is thrown around so loosely like realistic. And I'm not an Arsenal fan, but is Fabregas an Arsenal legend? What warrants him being an Arsenal legend? Like, yes, he was a good player, but was he legendary? If I think of Arsenal legends straight away, I'd go Patrick Vieira, Thierry Henry. You know, players of that kind of like impact on what they delivered. It's the same with, I suppose, like United now. Who in the last kind of 10 years is a United legend? Wayne Rooney, you know, those kind of players. A United legend, probably. He came in, won the Premier League.
Did Cesc not win the league? I swear he was there back in them days.
He was an intern at the time, man.
I swear he was in the
club. He was with the club, but
It was an
He doesn't
intern,
count.
bro.
On Fabregas came like
Man
the
was
first-
an intern, you know.
In the boots.
That's like saying Gail Clichy won the Premier League. He didn't win it. He didn't win it at Arsenal. He was there.
It's like saying Pennant won the league.
Yeah, they were there.
So,
Champagne
okay,
and
okay.
that, but
So you can only be a legend if you've won things.
No, if you left a legacy,
if you left something to remember you by.
what has Fabregas left us to remember us by? But other than highlights,
Yeah, but
If
that's
he
like
didn't
saying
leave Chelsea, I think if he didn't sign for Chelsea, you guys would probably be talking
Yeah.
differently right now.
100%. But he did. But he did. So it's like,
but also, I always have a
I
thing
love
about.
Cescazar, but like, I miss him so much. But like,
back to Ozil though. Yeah, his time is a failure.
Mhm.
It's the same thing with like Pogba. You know, if Pogba leaves at the end of the season, I think his time's a failure. You know, it's just as simple as that.
Yeah.
Pogba definitely, and this isn't just being biased. Pogba definitely has to be at United. Like, did you?
Yeah.
Not,
We'll put Pogba under the lights in a whole new session. So
honestly, if he didn't have a fancy haircut, people
little
would,
dances and that.
people would not talk about Paul Pogba.
Piazzontos.
His goal for Juventus has given him a career. Like,
Now you're doing too much. Now, you know,
Hold that
you were
thought.
talking about Jordan Henderson earlier. You know what I mean? Like, let's
won the Premier
be
League, won the
respectful.
Premier League, Champions League. He's done more than Pogba.
Let's be respectful, because you know, someone's won a World Cup. If we start talking
So
about
Ozil.
Jordan
So
Henderson, let's be respectful. Come on,
Captained his team to
Lee Batty, or you know, Dave Batty of the '90s. Like, do you know what I mean?
So are you telling me you're happy with Paul Pogba?
In the
what he does for
'90s, Henderson would have been playing for Newcastle or for Leeds United next to Lee Bowyer.
It's not the 90s.
Do you know what I mean?
Paul Pogba, are you happy with?
No, I just brought it in, but let's not talk like Henderson's career is comparable to Pogba's career.
Henderson's living in some people's heads rent free, mate. I'm telling you.
I've never mentioned Henderson, but all I'm saying is he's won the Champions League and he's won the Premier League in the last 2 seasons. I haven't seen anything from Pogba.
So is Jurgen Shaqiri.
Look, Shaqiri's trophy cabinet is a bit mad, you know.
It is mad.
It's actually wild, isn't it? Yeah.
That's not even a bad thing. Like Shaqiri, like you said, Shaqiri's won a lot in his career, but Pogba, I'm just saying, I don't get the. I do not.
I think Pogba's won way more than Henderson. Anyway, we're getting sidetracked.
Yeah.
Now,
I've got like a separate question on Ozil as well. Like this is for a proper outside looking in one. You know, I didn't pay that much attention to it while it was going on at Arsenal. But I think one of the weird things about his career is obviously the inactivity and him being on the sideline for a long time and the sort of aspersions that cast on the coaching staff, like the club itself, all sorts of weird things were carried up on that. Like, can you talk us through sort of that experience as a fan having to go through that, knowing there's a talented player that either doesn't want to or won't play or can't crack into the team for sort of reasons unknown? Like, what was that like?
Or was he
Derby
not
take
allowed
that
to
one.
play?
Yeah.
I don't
Let me
even
take
why
that
he
on.
didn't play. Why did he not play?
Was that
I
man?
think we're gonna find the real reason now that he's left. He's definitely gonna reveal, because as soon as we announced the Premier League squad and we had the 23-man squad and Ozil wasn't in there, like I don't care what you say about him, he doesn't track back, but there is no way in hell there's 23 players in the Arsenal team better than Ozil. Like even
What's
at his
really got
worst,
Willick?
that is Willian. yeah, but we're saying like there's no way in hell there's 23 players in the Arsenal franchise that are better than Ozil. So there's definitely something.
Do you think it was a political agenda? Because obviously there was all this stuff with like China and everything. And do you feel Arsenal as a club were too concerned about pissing off their fans in Asia, and for that reason they thought? Because it just seems there's so much to the story than what we know. You know, you listen to Limburg on Sky and they're talking to him about it, and he's like, man's like shifting and like trying to divert, and you're like, come on, bro, like there's something there that you're not talking about.
The biggest hint for that is when you look at the goodbye message that Mustafi just posted, basically saying that the club didn't support him.
Oh, really?
Yeah. When you're looking at what the players, the way they're saying goodbye, it's kind of like they feel let down as well. Like.
But this is the thing, like it goes beyond the fans. You got to think about the board. Like for him to have gone and supported the whole thing that was going on in China, that would have pissed off some shareholders to the point where they're like, you know what, putting pressure on the managers, the CEO to be like, you know what, this guy's not, he's not one of us, basically. So I feel like that's another potential that could have happened there.
Yeah, if you add to that, actually, one of our friends was talking about the fact that this is the whole China conspiracy, and we didn't believe it until we figured out that he wasn't let into announced in the 23-man squad. But then when you look at what happened to the Houston Rockets, a basketball team in the US, who obviously the Americans of Arsenal are from the US as well. By the way, Houston Rockets had Yao Ming play for the team, who's arguably the biggest Chinese basketball player like in history, right? And a huge name. And I think, Derby, do you know a little bit more about what happened there?
Yeah, it was something similar. It was something similar to like them as a bit like the club stood up for like human rights in China, and then in the next 2K game, in the Chinese version, the Houston Rockets were actually banned from everything, as in, like the club didn't exist. As in the NBA game had 29 teams, like they literally they erased them, and there were even some rumors that apparently in the PES version in China, there's no Mesut Ozil on the game.
Yeah, that's
So,
true.
Yeah. So like he does get wiped out, and also when you look at the Arsenal thing as well, because he did play a few games after the comment was obviously released. He played like 1 or 2 games, and he played well. I believe he scored a goal and he was assisted, so he's actually coming back, and then he was gone. So it's kind of like you can't blame it on his form because he actually came back looking quite good.
And I don't
then
want
one day,
I don't want to sound like a conspiracy
allegedly
theorist.
don't get us banned, China. Sorry.
Yeah, don't get us banned, don't get us locked off. We're still getting our feet going. But then allegedly, when you're looking even at how the Premier League set up, apparently the 12:45 kickoff game has been set up just to be able to cater to the Chinese market, right?
But yeah, that's it's a global game, isn't it? They'll think about all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, but then I think Carragher and Neville, some full-time pundits, were actually talking about this, and I wouldn't be surprised if it goes much deeper than just Arsenal. And it goes all the way to the Premier League.
Oh yeah, of course, 100%. Definitely there like hands in there.
Anything that's got the money that the Premier League has is always going to be, there's always like this, like it's like Alvin was saying, it's a global thing. Like if you look at when these teams, like when Man United, when Liverpool, the big teams, like I would say Chelsea, but when they go to these countries,
have you seen our revenue over the last week? Anyway,
massive revenue.
Tesla a big team as well.
But when they go proud becoming an accountant.
Yo, you can't be talking about revenue. You man trying to buy the league again, man.
But when these clubs go to these countries, the fan bases there are like insane.
They're crazy.
The numbers there is ridiculous. So it doesn't surprise me that the league's going to start catering for those fan bases. And the other thing as well, I know it's kind of spoken about every now and then, it kind of comes up, but this kind of like international league, like in 10 years' time, is that what football's going to look like? That there's going to be more of a kind of international, all-stars league? I don't know. It's going to be...
The thing about the political thing, though, is do you think that if Mane or Salah had come out and said that Liverpool wouldn't register him? I don't get that point about like the league. They put this pressure on him. There's no way that Liverpool wouldn't register Mane or Salah. Do you know what I mean? There's got to be something else.
I don't get the Ozil thing. To be honest, I don't know enough about it, but I don't get why you have a player like that. Like Debbie said, like he adds something to that team, whether it's more or not. Like
especially this season where we lack creativity.
What I mean, there must be something deeper, because I just don't see a situation where, like I said, Salah, he says the same thing as Ozil said. There's no way he's getting left out of the team, let alone the...
Did he say something though?
No, I'm just saying, hypothetically, if he does, he's not getting left out.
I think it depends down onto like the board and like who's actually like got the majority
where the money
stake.
is.
Like
that's what I'm saying. So you reckon if Salah played for Arsenal and he said that, you guys wouldn't register him?
I have no idea. Like I didn't think that this would happen with Mesut Ozil. If he told me that would be benching Mesut Ozil or removing him from the squad and relying on Emil Smith-Rowe, I'd be laughing you through, like out the door, right? So
Look, you can't trust Liverpool with backing players anyway. It's the same Liverpool that are backing man like Suarez, you know, for calling everything. So, you know, you can't.
The more shirts, you know.
Okay, so that concludes what Social's saying. Great chat, lads. So